remote. So you think if it's reboot, Ryan, what do you think the chances are of it working before we launch?
I've got to ask William, are you grocery shopping? I'm trying to figure out what it is.
Kim, can you hear me?
Yes.
There I am. Okay, okay. So okay. So can everyone else hear me pretty good? Hey, good afternoon, Mr. Poe.
You're on mute, William.
Jelani, I will push the attendee link out on virtual meeting page. I cannot get Facebook to go up. It just continues to show that white.
Okay. Okay, all right, it sounds good, Ryan. We can go ahead and get the meeting started and just push it out later.
Mr. Bhandrari, can you hear me good?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Clear.
Okay. Okay. You want to go ahead and get the meeting started then, Jelani, Mr. Briggs?
Yeah, Will, if you just want to open up the meeting, call the meeting to order.
All right, we'll do that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. I'd like to thank everyone for being here, taking your time out today. I know everyone else has a busy schedule, but thank you for coming in and coming. We're going to do we're just going to have a few things to go over today. First of all, before it's not on here, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, Jelani, correct me, we have a new commissioner. Is that correct?
That's correct.
But
she's unable to attend today. She's traveling.
She's unable. Okay, okay, okay. Can you let the rest of us know what her name is and what?
Yeah, it's Betsy Clark, and she was nominated by Victor Jones to replace Ann Dawson.
Okay, you said her name Betsy?
Betsy Clark.
Okay.
Clark, or like C-L-A-R-K?
That's correct.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Kim. Okay, I think one of the first items on our list tonight, we have a short list, will be HRC elections. To see who is interested in being will be interested in being chair or vice chair.
And chair, if I may, you just want to make sure that we do vote to approve August meeting minutes.
Right.
Prior to going into that. So you should have received a revised version. We sent you an original. There was a small correction we had to make. You should have received a revised version of the minutes. And Chair, I'll let you kind of take it from there.
I appreciate that. I did skip over that. Yes, if everyone would take a minute to look at the minutes for August and see if they're approved or any corrections need to be made or anything like that. If you would take a couple minutes and go over it. Kind of let me know when you all had time to look at it. Everybody had time? Does anyone need more time?
I've had time.
We're good.
You're good.
Okay. Okay. Well, if everybody's had time, anyone see any changes that need to be made or anything like that? Okay, well, all those that approve the minutes for August, say aye.
And Chair,
Go
you
ahead.
just want to ask for a motion to approve the
Oh,
minutes?
excuse me, that is correct. I'm so sorry, boy. Tell you, I'm getting out of practice here. I'm sorry. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes for August?
I move to approve.
Can I get a second?
I'll move to second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 If there's any objections, say no. Okay, minutes are been approved. Motion passed. Okay. Thank you, and thank you, Jelani. Thank you, I appreciate that. Next thing I think on our agenda, because actually I apologize for being out of town right now, and I had to write it down. Okay, I think it's our election.
Mr. Chair, excuse me,
Yes.
Mr. Chair, excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
Who was the person that made the motion for the minutes to be passed? Who was that
I did,
individual?
Mr. McCray.
Aye. Okay. Well, okay. And who seconded?
I think it was Miss Barker, Kim Barker.
So Tammy, I guess you're taking minutes.
Yes, ma'am. That is correct. Yes, ma'am.
Awesome.
So, good evening, everyone. This is Jerron. Can we just do for each commissioner maybe a little sound check so we can make sure we hear everyone and try to remember to speak up so that as we have some of this dialogue, we can make sure that everyone's audible. And yeah, so start with Commissioner Bhandrari.
I can hear. Can you hear me?
Okay, Commissioner Barker.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I believe Commissioner Pope's on mute. We'll come back to him. Commissioner Pope, if you're on mute. Commissioner McCray?
I'm here.
Okay. Commissioner Jones?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you. Commissioner McGinnery?
I'm here.
Councilmember Johnson?
I am here.
Okay. Tammy?
Present.
And Mr. Pope? I think you're muted. We can't hear you.
Yeah, it looked like it's still saying mute.
Is that better?
Okay,
Yeah.
yes, okay, we can hear you now.
All right.
Okay,
great.
so yeah, just everybody try to remember to speak up. This is being recorded, and so we just want to make sure we can hear everyone. And it might help as at least as we go through things like motions, maybe just announce your name before you speak for the audio purposes for our audience at home. That might just help. So we'll work through this together, and I appreciate everybody's willingness to cooperate in advance. I'm sorry, Jelani, go ahead.
No problem. Chair, I think we were headed to the HRC elections on the agenda.
Yes, that was next on our agenda.
Okay.
We're going to have elections tonight, and we're going to do the way we're going to do it. I think Jelani and I have talked about it. We're just going to, if you were interested in being chair or vice chair, let us know. You'll have a few, it'll give you a couple minutes to, if you would like to say why you would like to be chair or vice chair. And if you don't want to be, don't want to be nominated for the position, just let us know that you don't, and then we'll just we'll go in order. We'll let Mr. Hollister go in order, call your name, and you can vote for whoever you like, whoever you think you would like to be chair or vice chair. And you also can vote for yourself also. So keep that in mind.
And Chair, thank you for that. I was just going to do a few kind of housekeeping notes before we jump right into the elections. We know it's a little unconventional format this evening, but just expectations for the role as chair. We really want that to be kind of a lead by example position for some of the initiatives and programs that we're looking to execute in the near future. It's really important that the chair is an actively engaged member of the commission. not only consistent attendance in meetings, but also consistent communication with all the commissioners in between meetings. It is a one-year term. You will be eligible for re-election after that. In terms of the actual conduct of the meetings, you would be the example for Robert's Rules of Order and making sure that you're familiar with the agenda prior to the meeting, in addition to helping develop that agenda. It's our goal for chair to really be the leading force behind getting meetings done, and then the execution of certain programs and initiatives after those respective meetings. The way that we formatted the actual election today is that we are going to let folks articulate their interest in being chair, just by saying a few words if they'd like. The leading vote getter will be chair. The second leading vote getter will be vice chair. And if we have any ties in the votes, we will have a runoff. Now, I will say this, in terms of actual voting, we're simply going to read your name off the roster, and then you will say your vote during the meeting. That's how we'll count the tallies. As the chair mentioned, you can vote for yourself or you can vote for someone else. So with that being said,
one other thing. Now, we're happy to have Tammy Sanders. She is a new member on our team. We're happy to have her on the team. Tammy will actually be helping us with some of the housekeeping. So we want to make sure that Tammy can hear you, and that because she'll be helping us to record this vote tally as well. So we want to welcome Tammy and also make sure that, Tammy, you can hear everything that's going on as needed. Are you okay, Tammy?
Yes, I'm fine. I do need to ask a question, though. There's a commissioner by the name of Courtney Price. Is he present today for the meeting?
No, he canceled shortly before the meeting due to a work conflict.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So if everybody's ready, we'll go ahead and let Mr. Hollister start by calling the roll.
Yeah, we'll actually let Jelani take it from here, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Yeah, so what we want to do now is just open the floor up to anyone that would like to express interest in being a nominee for chair.
Okay, well, I'll go first, since I would like to put myself be chair again. I think I have experience. I think I've shown their interest in it. I think I've been very good. I think I've been very good with listening and being on top of situations, being on top of things that's going on. I definitely make, I'm going to say 100% of my meetings, but I would say at least 95% of them. Even with my strenuous job I have for being on the road a lot, I still make the meetings. I stay on top of things. I do appreciate that working with you guys. I think we have a great group.
Come here and talk to me, fucking asshole.
And so, with that being said, I'm gonna move on to the next one.
Thank you, Chair. Would anybody else like to state their interest to be a nominee?
This is Dave Bhandrari. The strong connection and relationship that I have built over years with the communities, nonprofit, and leaders in High Point community and beyond, and the support system or the support that I have been receiving. I think as a chair, I would still be able to get that support system and everything that would actually be helpful for HRC to organize events and reach out to the community and also to the all the citizens in High Point and beyond. So I would like to be considered as a candidate for chair, and I would like to nominate myself for the position.
Thank you, Commissioner Bhandrari. Is there anyone else who would like to be considered as a nominee?
This is Kim Barker. I would also like to be considered. I think the skills that I've learned through my business and different church affiliations would be helpful in this role. I have handled large multinational projects. I'm able to bring a team together, build excitement, and one of the things that I think I'm able to do the best is I recognize strengths in other people, and I let them leverage the strengths that they have, because it takes everybody. It's not just one person who can make your team happen. But I do like to get things done, and I like to manage things towards that execution completion in mind. I also feel that I'm pretty good with communications. Part of my role right now in work deals with communication, so that's always top of mind to me, and I always think of communications in everything that we do. So that's
Thank you, Commissioner. Do we have anyone else? Okay, with that being said, what we're going to do next, and just to recap so everyone knows the nominees, we have Commissioner Kim Barker, we have Commissioner or Chair Willie Davis, and Commissioner Deb Bhandari. Now what we're going to do, I'm going to call each commissioner's name, and you will verbally state your vote. Okay. Commissioner Kim Barker.
vote for myself.
Okay. Chair Willie Davis.
I vote for Willie Davis.
Come on, man.
Commissioner Race McCray.
Oh, where you going?
I vote for Dev Bhandari.
Where you going?
Commissioner Deb Bhandari.
I would vote for myself.
Commissioner Stacey Jones.
I vote for Willie Davis.
Commissioner Mary McInerney.
I vote for Willie Davis.
Commissioner William Pope.
I vote for myself.
Okay, you didn't articulate that you wanted to be a nominee. Before we held the vote, we asked that everyone articulate if they wanted to be considered a nominee. I don't know if you were able to hear us when we were saying that.
Yeah, I didn't hear that. Where I'm at, it was a lot of noise, so I missed that part. Yeah.
Okay, so you would like to be considered as a nominee for chair?
I would, yes.
Okay, so what we're going to do, just for the group's sake, we're going to add Commissioner William Pope as a nominee, and we're going to go back through the votes with Commissioner William Pope as a nominee for chair, okay? Commissioner Kim Barker?
I vote for myself.
Okay. Commissioner Chair Willie Davis?
I vote for Willie Davis myself. Thank you.
Commissioner Race McCray?
I vote for Dev Bhandari.
Commissioner Deb Bhandari?
I would vote for myself, Dev Bhandari.
Commissioner Stacey Jones?
I vote for Willie Davis.
Commissioner Mary McInerney?
Vote for Mr. Pope.
And Commissioner William Pope?
I vote for myself.
Okay. And we have a three-way tie, two each, for Commissioner or Chair Willie Davis, Commissioner Deb Bhandari, and Commissioner William Pope. So now we're going to hold a runoff for chair. We're going to go back through and we're going to vote with these three nominees. Okay, Willie Davis, Deb Bhandari, and William Pope. Commissioner Kim Barker?
Deb Bhandari.
Chair Willie Davis?
I vote for Willie Davis.
Commissioner Race McCray.
I vote for Bhandrari.
Okay. Commissioner Dev Bhandari.
I would vote for myself.
Commissioner Stacey Jones.
Vote for Willie Davis.
Commissioner Mary McInerney.
I vote for Mr. Pope.
Okay. Commissioner William Pope.
I vote for myself.
Okay. We do have a leading vote getter for that round. That is Commissioner Dev Bhandari for chair. We will now hold a runoff for vice chair. And the candidates for vice chair are Willie Davis and William Pope. Commissioner Kim Barker, can I have your vote?
Willie Davis.
Chair Willie Davis.
I vote for Willie Davis.
Commissioner Race McCray.
I vote for Mr. Pope.
Commissioner Dev Bhandari.
I would like to vote for Mr. Willie Davis.
Commissioner Stacey Jones.
Vote for Willie Davis.
Commissioner Mary McInerney.
Vote for Mr. Pope.
And Commissioner William Pope.
I vote for Mr. Pope.
Okay. So according to the results, Dev Bhandari has been elected as chair, and Commissioner Willie Davis has been elected as vice chair.
Okay. Well, I'd like to thank everyone.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank
you, Dev. I appreciate thank you, Dev. Congratulations, Dev. And I think
Well, I think we got a couple people trying to talk at the same time.
I'm sorry. Did I hear someone say they had to go?
Yeah, I got to go.
All right, thank you, Mr. Pope.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pope.
All right, guys.
Appreciate your attendance. Appreciate your attendance. All right. Congratulations, Mr. Bhandari. I appreciate everyone for their vote and taking time to vote. We're going to move right along. Well, I guess, Mr. John, do we want to turn this over to Mr. Bhandari and let him, since he's the new chair, would you like to turn the rest of the meeting over to him?
No, Chair, I think you're okay to finish out the rest of this meeting.
Okay. I wasn't sure. Okay. Next on the agenda, if I'm not mistaken, I think we'll want to talk about any future plans, innovations, updates coming, any ideas or anything like that. Am I correct? I think that's next on the agenda. Anyone have any anything they like to talk, or ideas about anything they like to do, or plans that they like to see the commissioner do?
Well, Chair, I was just going to chime in really quickly. I know you had mentioned prior to this meeting an idea that you have for the group, but I did just want to give some brief updates on some items. As many of you may recall, at the last meeting in August, we discussed the potential of us hosting a site for food box distribution. And we were actually waiting for grant approval to Foster Cabinets in order to provide the refrigerated food truck for that. My last check with Carl Vierling at the Greater High Point Food Alliance, which was a little over a week ago, he said they are still waiting for that approval. I think their projected date was a little bit before now, but they are still waiting to get that approval, and Carl seemed to feel confident that they would get that eventually. Just a matter of them getting that approval, that domino falling, and then we can, after that, maybe host a site where we distribute the food.
Right. Another, that is true. Anyone want to comment on that? Another thing I had talked with Mr. Briggs about was maybe somewhere down the line, maybe having a appreciation day for our first responders. You know, with everything going on today, with all the trouble in the news, with relationships with police and fire and things like that, I thought maybe we could get together and have an appreciation day just to show them that, let them know that we do appreciate them and the work they do. I thought we really hadn't came up with a place. I was suggesting maybe right there in the field behind the police station. We really hadn't worked out the plans. If anyone would like to chime in on that, we're listening. Hello?
Chair, the only thing I would add just from a, I'm sorry, the only thing I would add just from a staff standpoint is that we do want to be cognizant of COVID-19 restrictions right now.
Right.
I understand even, outdoor events are generally considered safer than indoor, but nonetheless, there are still a litany of restrictions that we want to be cognizant of in trying to plan an event like that. I think the intent of it is very good, but I think we just want to be wary of mass gatherings in this environment and controlling any kind of crowd.
Right. That's good. Well, that's why I was like, wondering, just put it out there so we can see where we were at and know how everyone else felt. But yes, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
I know that we are, loosening up some rules and things, but still, I understand what you're saying. Anyone else have anything they'd like to talk about?
This is Dave. I just wanted to add I think that is very, very great idea. And that is something that, I have been involved with, is also with the community, having positive tested people in the community, that I have been involved with food distribution, all PPE supplies since, March. And that is something that always comes in my mind is we have all the doctors that they have been supporting us in a Zoom call, talking one-to-one, all the patients in the community without, free of charge and everything. So that is something in my mind. So what I have done is sometimes I just send them like thank you card. And also I, constantly be in touch with them just to appreciate how much we appreciate them. And I have kind of set expectation that we're going to be doing something to honor all the hard work and dedication. So, and I think we can now, since this idea came up, now we can maybe jointly organize something once situation get kind of under control, I would say.
There's even a possibility of, if we are uncomfortable, and rightfully so, I'm just getting over COVID. My husband was in the hospital for 10 days, so I have a great appreciation for all the people who work on it. But maybe, Willie, I don't know if you were thinking, where do we get the budget? Are we looking at getting donations from people? Could we make up bags and take them into the hospitals, into the police stations, fire department, or whatever? We could take a thank you to them. Anyways, I'm just thinking we can reverse it and look at it the other way.
Thank you, Kim. Well, that's why I brought it up. See what kind of ideas we can have and see what will work out. And I really do appreciate everyone's thoughts on this. And if anyone else have any ideas or thoughts, please feel free to chime in. And like Johnny said, go ahead.
This is Councilman Johnson. Kim, we're glad to know that you're feeling better. But Willie, I wanted to ask you a question. Now, your thought in pertaining to this, maybe I missed it. What were you thinking exactly? Well,
like first of all, like Jelani was saying, we need to also be careful of, the gathering. See if we could gather or how many. I was just thinking maybe. I think we talked about maybe just having a couple hot dogs, hamburgers, or just something, some kind of a day put together, or maybe a food box, a food box, some kind of something that we could say, where they could come out and we could say thank you. Just if that our committee really appreciates your hard work and efforts you do for the city. Just appreciate having a day for for our first responders. I know. Go ahead.
I actually love the ideal, but you know, definitely with the COVID-19, we have to be extra careful. But
Right.
even if we would do a drive-through, like
Yeah,
like
that's another
what was
great
done
idea.
over the weekend, I mean, that way they could come in, you know, we hand it to them and they're off. I mean, but again, it's just showing our first responders a thank you for all that you're doing, all that you know will continue to do. So, man, I love the ideal, but may need to be tweaked a little bit. But I love the idea.
Oh, I appreciate that. That's a great idea. They mentioned just maybe a drive-through. So with that, anyone else have an idea or a thought?
Well, in my work, I work at the High Point Public Library, and I also serve on a statewide committee for the North Carolina Library Association, where I work on the Librarians Build Communities, and we have worked to do fundraising and ultimately do food drops at local hospitals. So where we've essentially bought all of the frontline staff lunch for the day, and we've just delivered, 100 meals to that. I think that especially when you're talking about food delivery staff, already have done a lot during this time to make sure that they're being safe. And so you're putting it essentially that in the hands of professionals who already know how to keep safety and instead, directly give some kind of benefit. I will also say that while I think that that's a workable idea, I also come back a little bit to the mission statement, or like how this commission is described on the city website, which is that it seems like the primary mission of this commission is to end discrimination and promote equal human rights. And especially I feel like there's been a lot of, while I do love the work of first responders and think that they are in an amazing and tough situation right now, I also think that there are a lot of people in the city hurting who maybe aren't getting the same adulation as first responders right now because they've been so much in the spotlight. And there are still a lot of people who.
Okay, can you announce, give us your name so for the record?
Sure. I'm Race McCrae.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Yeah. So while I do not want to shut this idea down, I do want to just kind of make mention of that there are, still a lot of people who do not have aid of any kind who could probably benefit.
Okay, we appreciate that. Anyone else?
This is Kim Grace. How would you go about identifying those people? Because I agree with you. I'm sure there's people out there who need help, but how do we find them?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that unfortunately, there's no like obvious solution, right? Or else everyone would be doing it. I think that we have a couple initiatives already underway. Obviously, the one Jelani just reported on working with Carl Vierling and the Greater High Point Food Alliance. They're an organization who I believe has kind of a good pulse on at least some of the food insecurity issues, since they do bi-yearly surveys essentially with both children and adults to try to figure out who's hungry in what areas are we doing, and they're using state data. I don't want to suggest also that is mutually exclusive from what Mr. Davis was suggested, right? It's not like we're a commission who can only do one thing. And I also know that Mr. Bhandrari has earlier been working on something that I know we've probably reported on in these meetings, or at least in emails that we have as a commission been sharing, has been working on food deliveries to folks in community that he's aware of. And I think also another organization would be World Relief, which brings together a lot of refugees and immigrants who, upon entering into this community, may or may not have all the opportunities available to them that a lot of other folks would. So I don't have a solution, and I apologize if that didn't fully answer your question, but I'm happy to help us look for solutions. If perhaps even, partnering with school organizations who are aware of free lunch, children and things like that, where we could potentially ask for volunteers. I don't think we can share data with a school for obvious reasons, but some folks we may be able to get a word out that way where they could then volunteer or drive up themselves.
This is Dave. I just wanted to add a few things. That how do we learn about those families? It is about, I mean, I'm sure everybody does have, connection with the community and also World Relief and also Church World Service in Greensboro. And then there are a lot of churches and other places that they have been helping to the positively impacted families. So how I have done is, reaching out to the different universities, different students, even reached out to City of High Point, Food Alliance, United Way, just to check and see how we can help them out. And then once we started this in late March or April, and once people learn about you distributing this kind of food supplies or Tylenol, and Councilman Johnson knows about this one. He actually supported in this campaign in the very beginning, and thank you so much. Just wanted to say thank you. Also, so
Yes,
once we start this kind of campaign, and we people would reach out to you, and then you want to explain them. We're not going to be sharing your information to anybody. This is just strictly to help you out. And then that is how I have actually started. And then it has been ongoing process. We do have distribution Saturday going on, which is sponsored by Food Alliance via Greater High Point. And that was managed and done all by Mr. Carl Vierling. And I just wanted to mention his name because he's also working on the campaign or the food truck that Mr. Biggs mentioned earlier. So, just building connection, but once we start that distribution and everything, I think we would make that channel pretty easy.
Okay. Anyone else have anything they'd like to say or chime in? Well, I really appreciate all of you. All your thoughts, they were all great. Maybe this is something we'll come back to discuss later on if the chair would like to. But like I said, that was just something I was throwing out there to maybe get an idea or get a feel on how the committee felt, or how every commissioner felt, and I appreciate it.
And Chair, if I may, really quickly,
yes,
before we segue to the end, I think the conversation that was just had is a good launching point into the discussion that we'll need to have for our next work plan. I think that for the sake of a good, strong work plan where we have impactful initiatives and programs that we include on it, that we all want to participate in and coalesce around, that we should each, between now and the next planned commission meeting for November, come back prepared to share some ideas that the commission could include in a work plan. The goal, of course, is to present one at the beginning of the year. We know that this past year has been a little unorthodox because of COVID, but it's my thought that it would be good for us to start planning now, maybe brainstorm now on ideas that can be included on the work plan. It gives us plenty of time to not only bring up new ideas, but actually start to plan them. So I think it would be great for each commissioner to come back prepared to share their respective ideas that can be included in the work plan. I don't know if you want.
Yeah, and to piggyback on what Commissioner McCray said earlier, and also what Jelani just said. This is Jerron Hollis, Communications and Public Engagement Director for the city. I think there's a couple of things we need to keep in mind. One, historically, from members in the community and members of the commission, there have been at times observations that people wanted to see the commission more actively engaged in some of the things that are in the mission that are directly tied to some of the social justice issues and some of the current relevant events of the day. And so I think as we develop a work plan, it's important for us to think about the things that the commission is uniquely positioned and uniquely tasked to do. So, you know, we have great ideas like Commissioner Davis's idea about having hot dogs and hamburgers. That's a great idea. The ideas that came in about what some professionals are doing as far as food handling, those are great ideas, but those are also ideas that can really be done by any entity. What things can the commission do uniquely, or what things are is the commission specifically tasked to do, even in the ordinance and in our mission, that would fall specifically into the commission's bucket. And I think the challenge now is COVID. I mean, coronavirus has changed this year, never to be the same, and we may even have continued changes and reschedulings that go into 2021. But I think to put a finer point on Jelani's challenge or suggestion is that the commissioners not only come back with ideas, but come back with maybe an idea, your best idea that you can think of, keeping in mind what other places are doing with activities that are not only socially focused in this time right now, but also that are COVID proof. You know, what things are other people doing? What things can we do as a commission that would allow us to be true to the mission on one hand, but also do things that are relevant to the restrictions that we have now? I mean, the sun could come out, in a few months and we're back to normal. You never know. But what can we do if COVID is around a lot longer? What can we do and how can we do that? And those kind of ideas would make, to the earlier statement, would make for a great work plan that the city council can see, understand, and approve. And it allows us to dig in and roll up our sleeves more relevant to the unique mission that the Human Relations Commission has. So just wanted to have that in mind, and for all practical purposes, we've got a little bit of 2020 left, but most of it's behind us. If we can find some low-hanging fruit of things we can do now, but for the work plan, have a focus where we go into January with a full slate of work plan ideas that are vetted, discussed by the commission, so we can come up with the top handful, 3, 4, 5, that we can collectively work on and make a difference. That's all I had, Jelani. Back to you.
Okay. Anyone else have any thoughts or ideas they'd like to discuss? And Joanne, I appreciate that. That was a very good thing to talk about. We do need to get a good strong work plan for this year, for the following year coming up. So I do encourage everyone to think about that and have something when we do come back for our next meeting, so we can hit the road running. Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Kim Barker.
Thank you, Willie. Do we have, or do you guys have any like best practices, list of ideas, anything that we can see what other communities have done that we could look at and say, oh, that one we could do, yeah, that one's probably out of our scope? That's one question. The other question, and Tyrone, I don't know, you may have answered it and I may just be missing it. Does the city council have any specific priorities that they really want to get accomplished this year? Because, I know the work plan has to be approved by them. It would be nice to have something on it that aligned with what their priorities were as well.
So
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Excuse me, Councilmember Johnson, I was just going to answer. I think she had a two-parter there. On the first part, Commissioner Barker, yes, there is information that, for other purposes, we have compiled that reflects maybe some of the other activities that neighboring municipalities, others in North Carolina, even outside of North Carolina, may be doing from a human relations standpoint that I'd be happy to share with the group, just to maybe spark the creative juices a bit. I'd be happy to send those out and share them with the group.
Thank you. That would be very helpful.
Councilman Johnson here. Those have been things that I know that I've spoken with Jelani and Jerron in reference to what some other cities are doing. But however, with our council, with COVID-19, we know that we are very limited on what we can do because a lot of our activities or a lot of our things involve us going out in the community or being a part in the community, and that's been very limited. And so I don't know if that answers your question, but we've been very limited with that because of the COVID-19. So.
And thank you. This is Jerron Hollis again. So to Kim's question, and that's a great question, Commissioner Barker. I think a piece of it is what you asked. What are other places doing? If there's reference, best practices, etc. That's a part of it. But I don't want to limit your creativity to what Jelani can generate, what we can generate on a list. I think each of you have your own unique skills and attributes which made you members of the community that the council appointed to the commission. So each of you have things that are important to you based on your worldview, where you live, what you do, and so let's not leave those things out either. So in an ideal situation, you'd have ideas of things that are relevant, important, according to the criteria that we talked about a little while earlier, in addition to what can be generated. And maybe that would be a blending of some ideas that you have versus with those best practices. Because, at the end, what I've found in doing this for a little while, the projects that are the most successful are the projects where each of you have a genuine interest and desire to see that thing done. So that's really where you're going to find your most successful projects, and that's really where you're going to have your most efficient and effective labor. So I think it is great to have some references, some ideas of things that have happened in other places. But really, this is going to come down to what you're willing to make yourself available from time, energy, creativity, what you're willing to put forward to make those things happen as they're relevant and important to you. And when I say to you, it's the group collectively, because we could come up with 100 great ideas, but it's going to come down to which things the commission collectively decides to use that creative energy.
And just logistically, I would only add that I will send out the template that I think was used before in some of our work plan development sessions that just kind of helps frame the thank you for any one program or initiative that you may think of. It's just a framework to help capture your thoughts. So I'll definitely make sure I send that to the group as well.
Yeah, and Jerron again, and we'll also send, if you don't have access to it or if you haven't seen it recently, we'll send out something to the group that reminds you about the mission statement and those things, just so you can kind of get in the mood of what we're trying to do here and what you're tasked to do as the Human Relations Commission.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else have any comments or thoughts? Put some light on the situation here. Okay. Okay, with that being said, if no one else have anything, we'll move right on. I think we pretty much covered any other additional comments or anything like that they have. Any old business or new business anyone would like to talk about?
I just had a quick question.
Yes, sir.
And this might be for Jelani.
Excuse me. Can you give us your name?
Yeah, this is Race McRae. I just had a quick question for Jelani or Jaron, who's more familiar with the regulations of the commission. As we brainstorm ideas, are we an entity that can apply for grants?
That's when we say an entity that can apply for grants, it's usually, the way we're set up, it's usually tasked for I'll give you an example. Let's say that the council, if you look at the forms that we'll send, and there's a particular program, and let's say the cost for that program to do it the way we want to do it is $400, for example. Part of the vetting process of the work plan, if council says, go forth with this particular program, it's also understanding that there are resources that are attached to it. So depending on what resources are needed, there could be a path to us getting to those resources out of existing program funds of what we already do, if it's an extension of what we're doing in the department. But I think if there is an opportunity for grant funds, I'll defer to some of my folks in finance, but there is a process. If it's a city of High Point, applying for a grant, what have you, that there is a process where that would go through and those grant funds that came in could be allocated. That for those of you that are familiar with grant writing, that can be a process unto itself. But if there are some specific things that we want to talk about along the lines of grants and generating funds, that's something we can deal with, and even at some point have one of our subject matter experts come in and give you some information on that, especially going forward. We'll work on that and see if we can give some type of context and directives as far as how that will work. But let us put our heads together and come back to you on that one at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, anyone else? With that being said, again, I would like to congratulate Deb Bhandrari on being elected chair. I'd like to thank everyone for being here. I'd like to thank everyone for their comments and thoughts. With nothing else being on the agenda, I'd like to ask for a motion to adjourn. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
And you are?
I'm sorry, Mary McInerney.
May I get a second? Can I get a second motion to adjourn, please?
I second Stacey Jones.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. No one else have any comments or anything they'd like to share? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Okay. See you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.